the most thrilling, spine-tingling finish of the weekend, if not year. To score that goal with a second left to save the season, but to force overtime, and you still got to do it again. And they did. Go crazy, Winnipeg. Also, with the night from Steph, we've got Curry versus Edwards in round 2. Buckle up. Let's go around the horn.
Ant-Man, Batman.
Where'd he go to school, David?
Symbols and six.
I forgot where Steph went to school.
What school?
I like that,
School
Frank.
did he
That
go
was great.
to, America?
We start with NBA. You all had Golden State's experience and stars pulling it out. You get the points. Players-only meetings would turn this around, evidently, after the losses in 5 and 6. And Buddy Hield's 22 in the first half of Game 7 and the run late in the night from Steph. And that has the Warriors on to Minnesota. Before we get there, Frank, what did the Dubs show you with the Game 7 road win? Your takeaway from Golden State eliminating.
They showed me that they don't have to just ride Steph Curry. How about the performance of Buddy Hield? This is a guy that came into the league as a 24-year-old, bounced around the league, did not even score in Game 6, then puts up 33 points. How unlikely was it? Last year with Philadelphia as a part-time player, he scored a total of 22 points in the first round. 20 of them came in the last game. So it's a guy who was barely being used. You showed the shot when Curry went over his head and Buddy Hield hit the shot. Then the quarter ends on that three-pointer. I really thought that was demoralizing. That 40-footer, that kind of got the Warriors going. I thought it really hurt the Houston Rockets. Says a lot about them because they were not good at home, but they showed you the toughness and experience which you need to win a Game 7. They had it. Houston didn't.
Yeah, buddy. All right, KB, your takeaway?
And they did that on the road? I mean, that's amazing. These guys are just, they were made for that particular moment. And I really thought that Houston was going to wrap this thing up, getting back home, have the youth on their side, have the experience of having gotten this series to where it was, and they just absolutely collapsed, wilted under the weight of experience, under the weight of step-up play from guys that you didn't necessarily expect. Forget Buddy Hield, but also remember the fact that Jimmy Butler in the second half had some key buckets there and some key defensive plays. So they got a lot of guys that they can rely on. And then when Houston went to double team Steph Curry as he came across half court, all of a sudden he's getting around guys, somebody else is open, and if he doesn't get to the bucket to score, he gets it to somebody who scores. So they had all the answers that Houston threw at them in terms of trying to get stopped.
David Dennis Jr., number one takeaway that put Golden State over Houston.
A predictable answer alert here, Tony Rally. It's Wardell Stephen Curry, the guy who led the team in points, assists, and rebounds for the entire series, the oldest player to do that. Right. This is about him being one of the most unstoppable offensive forces that we have seen. That Houston Rockets defense beat him up, held him, double-teamed him for the entirety of 7 games, and he wore them down mentally and physically. Buddy Hield, yes, 33 points, but over half of those threes, Steph either assisted to him or those threes were as a result of off-ball movement, would have had him wide open. And then when the Rockets were reeling from those shots, he took over in the fourth quarter. Amen Thompson was cramped up. That team was frustrated, and it's what he does that bends people to his will, running 2 miles in that game to secure a victory, and now it's on to Minnesota.
And Clint Yates.
Tony, what I learned is that experience isn't just some ethereal concept for the Warriors. There are 4 guys on that team 32 years or older. They scored 88.3% of the Warriors' points, which is the highest rate in the history of a Game 7 in the NBA. It was real deal contributions that mattered. Also, I learned that what the Warriors are doing with their sort of small ball element is everything the Lakers thought they were going to do against the Timberwolves. This team with the experience, again, from a production and a leadership standpoint, has really figured it out. I love the way Steve Kerr has put this together in this.
All right, well, you took us there, Clinton. Frank, I saw around the horn to you. Just a teaser getting into Golden State, Minnesota. And who's the best player on the floor? A question I could ask you right now. Or would the small ball of Golden State be different than what LA just did, as Clinton put out there? Please, floor is yours.
Yeah, you know, you're going to go small against Minnesota. Look what happened to the Lakers when they tried to do that. And again, here's a Minnesota team that did make it to a conference finals last year. So to quote the great Anthony Edwards, Ant-Man, Batman, Superman, Minnesotans.
And you think Edwards is the best player on the floor, Frank? You willing to put that?
Well, I'm still going to go with Steph Curry, but Steph is a little banged up. He wasn't great in the fourth quarter of Game 6. That's
KB?
I agree with Frank, but I would say that, the rebounding, the size advantage that Minnesota has may play out in their favor in this game. I just can't see the small ball working against them, but I feel ridiculous saying that after just watching what Steph Curry just did to
David
these guys.
Dennis Jr.
It's just amazing.
Yeah, this is all about the size of Minnesota and that small ball. The Warriors. The thing the Warriors have over the Lakers is they are better equipped to play Rudy Gobert off the floor as they did with Steven Adams in that Game 7. I think they can get some of those mismatches and make it.
All right, but no, let's get to brass tacks here. You were very proud to say in the Detroit-New York series who the best player in the series was. Who is the best player in this series, David Dennis Jr.?
The multiple-time MVP, the Finals MVP.
You're not
Wardell
saying that.
Steph Curry is
Okay.
the guy that they're going to be double teaming at the half court when he crosses the half court line for the entirety of this series.
Clint Yates, last word.
I think the best player on the court is going to be Anthony Edwards, but that doesn't mean that he's going to be on the better team. This ain't J.J. Redick you're dealing with. This is Steve Kerr. They're not going to have the same kind of rotational issues that the purple and gold couldn't.
More on that series later on in the week. Now we get to the ice last night, the stunner of the night, the game of the year.
Count to 3. Ehlers, cross ice, score! Score!
That is the latest game-tying goal in Game 7 in NHL history. Cole Perfetti, perfecto timing. And then way into the second overtime we go.
Young shoots, score! The Jets win it! On the deflection! The Winnipeg Jets will move on.
Winnipeg will remember that as long as they jet. Could it be the moment that projects them forward to a cup run? Clinton Yates around the horn to you on what we just witnessed.
Oh man, Tony, the latest ever equalizer in Stanley Cup playoff history is crazy, and it was so awful as a choke job because you could see it coming, and it was a thing that had hobbled the Blues all season. 6-on-5 goals are an issue for this team. To give up 2 in 2 minutes, the 14th and 15th of the year, which leads the league, is unconscionable. I'm watching fan reactions on the internet all night last night. I could not believe how bad that was. And also, I want to say, there were people on this program who wanted to stick Hellebuck on the bench. He ended up being the third star in this game. I was not one of those people.
No.
Bit of a redemption story for him, for sure.
Perhaps. But you started with saying this was a choke of the highest order. David
Yes.
Dennis Jr., how'd you see it?
Yeah, I mean, you call this shocking and epic and all things. It still doesn't even quite do this justice. The Jets were 2-25 when trailing by multiple goals in the playoffs. Overall, in NHL, teams were 4-119 when trailing by 2 goals in third period in Game 7. This is a once-in-a-lifetime type of comeback. And as Clinton said with Hellebuck, this guy was going to be the GOAT of this series. The guy who everybody blamed for the way that he played pretty terribly for the beginning of this, held the fort down at the end. This is a redemption story for him as well. And hopefully this carries him to a better playoff performance in the next
Kevin
round.
Blackistone, what did we just witness?
Well, it makes you rethink the statement about the best 2 minutes in sports being at the Kentucky Derby, because this was pretty outrageous.
Great too.
I will say this. You look at the stats and you think the Jets should have been winning this match all along. I mean, the hits differential, the shots differential, they did cash in one of their 2 power plays. They should have won this, but they should not have won it when they won it. This was as much of them coming back, refusing to lose, as it was the Blues just kind of choking it away.
And Frank, how'd you see it?
You know, Winnipeg is the President's Trophy winner, best record in the NHL. You're in a Game 7. You're in a Game 7 at home. 70 seconds in, you're down 1-0. So as the saying goes, you're chasing the game, and it took them to the final seconds to finally draw even. But you talk about a choke. Here's the problem that the Blues made. That empty net gives you the extra skater for the Jets. What it does to the Blues, though, it's like fool's gold. You know that they had 3 icings after the Jets closed to within 1 goal, including the one from Pavel Bucevic, where he flings it over the defenseman. It actually went over the net. So you almost get panicked when you see that empty net there. They did not play smart down the stretch, which ended up leading to that.
Even with that, though, you still have to do it in the overtime if you're Winnipeg. And that second, the overtime goal also was on a deflection. Clinton, I'll give you the last word.
I just wanted to say this is absolutely fantastic for Winnipeg. Another Canadian team advancing. That's pretty much all they got. I'm sorry,
agree.
CFL. This is the show. What a ride.
And we've seen it in all sports before. A team really pushed to the brink, having to really galvanize. I mean, we've never seen it in the NHL like that. The game-tying goal in 7 to force overtime in the final second. Taking a break right here. Fire's still next. and people of your ilk picking favorites. Look at this. This is ESPN. 12-0, Celtics over Knicks. 10-0, Thunder over Nuggets. 10-1, T-Wolves over Warriors. And 12-0, Cavs over Pacers. So, of course, what happened game one in Cleveland after they set the record for margin of victory in round one? The Cavs laid an egg. Halliburton closing, as he is wont to do. Indy controlling the first and fourth quarters, which is a very good system. Afterwards, Donovan Mitchell said, quote, "This is nothing to freak out about," end quote. Clinton, what do you buy? What do you sell from Pacers over Cavs in game one?
I'm selling this entirely from Spider. If you're not going to freak out now after dropping a game at home and you have myriad injury problems adding up and you're facing off against one of the hottest and deepest teams in the league, when are you going to freak out? That was the whole idea of being able to coast in the first round, is that you were going to have, that rest coming up to come out and lay an egg. That's a major problem for a team with championship aspirations.
Concern coming from Plasma One. David Dennis Jr., you see it that way?
Yeah, so here's what you don't freak out about. Let's not freak out about the fact that the Cavs could not make a three. Donovan Mitchell was 1 for 11 from 3. The Pacers were scorching hot from 3. But here's what you do freak out about. Darius Garland, this toe is a real thing, and it's a real big concern. Also, that double big lineup, they got outscored by about 20 points in 18 minutes. They were demolished. Those are two things that are going to be sustainable and problematic in this series.
Well, that is a banned word, so that takes a point away, but I hear what you're saying, David. Kevin, this isn't your first rodeo on this program here. We've had a discussion like rest versus rust before. Was there rust for Cleveland? Was it an egg? Are the injuries piling up? What do you think?
I think it was just an egg. I mean, when you consider that they had their worst three-point shooting outing of the entire season in this game, and then you look on the other side, and the Pacers had their second best three-point shooting outing of the season. So it's kind of laying an egg, but you got to be nervous now, and I know my neighbor Ivan Goldberg, Mr. Cleveland himself, is shaking right now looking at this IL list just piling up for the Cavaliers.
Shout out for your neighbor. I always appreciate that. Not sure that's going to get you points and around the horn, but you're talking about Garland. You're talking about Mobley. You're talking about Hunter specifically, who may not be available game two. Go ahead, Frank Isola.
Yeah, when you mention that injury report, I don't mean to quote Kramer from Seinfeld, but I'm freaking out when I hear that. Of course you're going to freak out with that. Their offense late in that game, this was a team that moved the ball. They fell apart offensively down the stretch. At 99-98, Cavs are winning. DeAndre Hunter went up for that dunk. He got hit by Mathurin, called a clean block. They reviewed it. I'm not saying that's a flagrant. That's a foul. And not only did Cleveland not get the foul, they didn't get the ball back. It was Indiana ball. 23-13 run from that point to the end.
Now Hunter's status for game two at least is up in the air. Okay.
Yep.
David, I know it's your third anniversary on the show, and I know we've only got 3 weeks left on the show, but the bad word still exists for a reason. You don't even know what word you said. That's what I love about you, David.
No clue whatsoever.
We'll move on. Nuggets, no chance versus the Thunder. Look at it again. It was 0 for 10. But before we get there, let's talk about Game 7 this weekend, Denver over LA. James Harden once again thwarted by a Game 7. Kawhi Leonard, another Game 7 L on his resume. Clippers, best team in the league over the last month and a half, and now out in round one. Denver, on the other side, got that Game 7 win and the Russell Westbrook experience in victory. David, what you buying, what you selling here?
I'm selling this as solely a James Harden story. Yes, he's going to get the headlines because of all the Game 7 collapses, but Kawhi Leonard needs to also hold this L. This is the second time that he's had a collapse in the Game 7 against the Nuggets. He also, yes, he put up more than 20 points, but he did not look aggressive. He did not look like himself. He goes out there. This is why you have a guy who only plays half a season to perform in Game 7, and he did not show up. He should take as much blame as James Harden is getting.
Blackstone?
Well, at least Kawhi Leonard's got himself a ring. When we look back 20 years from now and we look at James Harden and all the things he did in this league in terms of a scorer and even a guy with assists, we're going to say, when did he get a ring? Who did he win with? Nobody. Oh, that's right, that Game 7 collapse. Oh, and the other one? I mean, he was a no-show yesterday, and that's what I'm going to remember.
Well, everybody didn't show yesterday. It was 2 days ago, but I hear what you're saying. Frank Isola.
Yeah. Man, professor, for a college educator, you are a hard marker. They fell behind by 35. I can't put all that on James Harden. Kawhi's got to take a bit of a hit. Zubac does as well. The coaching staff. Go back to that Game 4. That's where it all changed. That Aaron Gordon, dunk to beat the clock. That should have been overtime game. Nuggets won it. That was
28.
Yes, Frank, we remember because we were there. That was when everything sort of fell apart. But also, the first game of the season went to overtime, of the series, went to overtime unnecessarily. The Clippers just did not have the bite that they needed. And it's particularly awkward because now it's just sort of like, well, what now? You put together the team, you have everybody you want from a roster construction standpoint, and you come out flat like that. I don't know where you turn because Ty Lue has done a pretty good job. But otherwise, they just did not have it this series.
Buy or sell 3 looking forward. Jets stars start later this week, but how Dallas got here, we'll talk about now. Thrilling Game 7 of their own. Mikko Ren in a hat trick versus his old team. The win coming in front of the dignitaries of the game. I'm talking about Emily Kaplan and Tim Cowlishaw. In the first 108 years in the sport, there were 3 2-goal comebacks in the third period to win a Game 7. In the last 2 days, there have been 2. KB, what do you buy or sell from Dallas's triumph?
I'm buying this isn't just a hat trick. It is a hat trick in the third period of Game 7 to save the season. That's incredible. We've never, well, maybe we have seen that once before, but I wasn't there to see it, so this is incredible. Way to go,
Frank Isola?
And you do it against your former team that traded you, and it felt like Dallas was dead in the water. Think about the week that Russell Westbrook had. Lakers lose, he beats the Clippers in a Game 7. But what happened last night, you want to talk about revenge. That was a revenge game.
But what are you talking about, Russell Westbrook? What? Please, Clinton Yates.
Yeah, also, it wasn't quite revenge. I mean, he got traded to Carolina and then traded again. That was kind of why this was so fascinating. What was Colorado supposed to do? They thought they weren't going to be able to afford the guy at the end of the year, so they got rid of him. And that's why that end-game handshake was so special, because all the guys were like, man, this is awkward, but you did it, buddy. Great day for Mikko. I thought this was a really good story all around.
I'll help you out, KB. First ever hat trick, third period, Game 7. First hat trick against a former team in Game 7. This is a historical revenge. Clinton, this is revenge. This is what revenge is made of. This people like me who are petty thrive on this level of revenge.
There's going to be some petty revenge coming. Yeah. Frank Isola, this is also a band situation. When we talk hockey, you talk hockey. You don't need to bring basketball into it in the middle of your answer there.
What's your favorite team? Comment below, and if you like the video, please leave a like. This really helps the channel grow and brings you even more content. Oh, and if you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Click the subscribe button and activate the bell to receive all notifications. With each game, we notice that the NBA is getting more competitive every day, and all the teams are looking for reinforcements to win the championship. And only here can you follow your favorite team daily with incredible content from different sources. Here on the channel, there are new videos every day with analysis, curiosities, and the best moments in basketball. That's it for today, folks. Thanks for following along. The NBA doesn't stop, and neither do we. Until the next video. NBA, the passion that connects us.